All right, welcome back to the program. In case you're just joining us, it's Moneyline with me, Nnaji. We're looking at Nigeria diaspora investment in agriculture. Emeka Chinonso Okafor, Senior Research Analyst at Nextier Advisory, is seated here with me today. Hello, Emeka, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Welcome to the program. This report was sent to me from you guys. I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago or so.
About that time, yes.
Yes, about that time. And why did you, or what's the motive behind diaspora investment in agriculture? You know, because there's a lot of remittances into the country. In fact, a lot of bodies have said that Nigerians remit quite a lot into the country, over $20 billion. It depends on which report you're reading, 21 billion, 23, 24, 25 billion dollars. Speak to me about why should we channel that remittance into agriculture? Why is agriculture a promising market for diasporans?
All right, so I think for me, from our research, what we saw was that there's a lot of returns on agriculture that it gives from the businesses that the agricultural businesses that we researched on, where showed that they are given about 15 to 25% return on their investment. Secondly, we all know that agriculture provides a lot of jobs for Nigerians. So in poor countries, we realize that a lot of employment goes into agriculture, and so we feel that that's a better way to channel funds to. You can channel funds to agriculture, provide jobs to people, provides wealth to the investors, and then it brings a little bit of food sustainability in Nigeria. So we feel that's probably the best way to go. And we can see right now the federal government has making a lot of effort in that aspect too. So we think that it's probably the best place to go right now.
Over the past few years, or at least since we've been seeing remittances into the country, those remittances have largely been to families, friends, to school fees, or feed mama in the village, okay, help me build this house, take for so person's school fees, and all of that. So consumption. Yeah. Why do you think it is like that? And how long do you think it will remain that way?
Yeah, so I think
unless we're beginning to
have this conversation about investment. Yeah. So I think a lot of times people send money home. So from research we did, and from research that was done by the Commonwealth, we saw that 70% of remittances go into consumption. And that's because, you know, people are sending money to their families to take care of things at home. And it's always been like this. However, people also have interest in investing back home. Like we said, 70% goes for consumption, the other 30% goes for investment. And so it shows that Nigerians abroad are interested in investing back home, but there's a lot of inefficiencies around, and so they're a little bit wary of investing back home. So part of our research showed us that they want to have confidence in research, in the investment they're going to. They want to know that there's no, that this is well done, that proper due diligence is done before they can put their money in, because most of them have invested in houses, like you said, and they came back and they can't find those houses, right? So one of the things we came up with in our recommendation was that we need reputable organizations, international agencies to partner in this effort, so that these people in the diaspora who are comfortable with international agencies would know that, okay, this international agency is involved in this, that means it's probably genuine and legit, and so we can invest. So most of the time it's just a confidence issue. The diasporans are afraid that the money they send for investments is not utilized properly. So once we address that, we'll see a lot of investment through the diasporans.
You mentioned earlier that about 70% of what the diasporans send home are for consumption, 30% for investment. What kind of investment are diasporans involved in? Yeah,
so the Commonwealth survey, like I mentioned earlier, showed that about 25% of that 30% goes into real estate. So estates, their own houses, houses for rent, and that 25% goes into agriculture, which is interesting. And that goes for IT.
That's 5%.
25% of that.
25?
5% of the 30%.
Okay, 25% goes to real estate. The remaining 5% goes to...
No, 25% goes into real estate, 25% of 30%. Right? So the 30% that goes into investment, 25% of that amount goes into real estate.
Okay.
About 23 to 25 goes into agriculture.
Okay.
And that 15% goes into IT. So you see that what's going on in Lagos with whole tech sector bubbling right now. So a lot of diasporans are investing in that aspect. You know, there are other smaller investments they do, but at what we saw was the majority of these investments are between agriculture, real estate, and IT sector.
So which one takes the larger chunk?
Real estate.
Real estate and perhaps houses for themselves?
Yes.
And for rent?
Yes.
Which is also an investment for them?
Yes.
Okay, so if we take a look at some of the things that we've seen over the years, how would you really how would you categorize or how would you assess the remittance markets in Nigeria, especially around or amid COVID? Let me put it that way. How do you think that the remittance markets in Nigeria has been affected by COVID-19?
Yeah, what we saw was that in 2020, remittances dropped by $3 billion. And I think that's fair enough because, you know, with COVID, a lot of Nigerians in diaspora lost their jobs, they lost their earnings, and so we saw a $3 billion drop. I think it's not a major concern. It was just what had to happen. It was expected. World Bank had predicted that, and so when we saw the numbers that Nigerian diaspora remitted about $21 billion against $23 billion last year, it showed us that okay, yes, there was a dip, but we expect that it will get back up. Now we've found the vaccine. We know that the economies in diaspora would start bubbling again, and people will have their jobs, and so they will start sending more remittances soon. And so we think that there's no cause of concern, and we should actually look for ways to actually leverage on this group of people to increase foreign exchange for us, increase investment in Nigeria, and find ways to just get them to see that Nigeria is a very good and it's a very good place to invest in. And because most of them understand this country, they have more sentimental attachment to this country, they want to invest. That's what we've heard from our research. They want to invest. They really want to know that there's genuine platform to invest. And so that's what we should actually target at.
So why agriculture, really, especially with all the challenges that agriculture is facing as an industry? A lot of people have said, okay, fine, we even need to do agriculture as a business, that agriculture is not farming.
Yes.
I was told last week by a guest of mine when I had the COVID series, yes. COVID 1 year on series. And he told me, said, agriculture is not farming, that we should attend to agriculture as a business. So what will begin to bring these guys and these ladies into Nigeria with their diaspora remittances in that sector if agriculture is not fully given that attention? Although we're seeing pockets of attention here and there, but there's the challenge of insecurity, for example. There's a challenge of inadequate infrastructure that would inhibit from farm to markets and all of that. So why agriculture?
Like I said, I think for us, what we did in our analysis was to find out why it's, like you said, why agriculture, and we feel that the return in agriculture is high. We feel that it gives a lot of
even with the bottlenecks.
Yes, we think So one of this project was commissioned by GIZ, the German Development Agency. They've been working with a lot of farmers in Nigeria, and so they realized these farmers need tractors, they need to provide themselves storage, they need to provide water works for their farm, provide water to themselves, and so they need this equipment, like you said, but they don't have the money for it. And so if they can get funding for these particular things that they want, then it will improve their yield, improve their efficiency, and then the profit comes along. And so there's a need for investment in agriculture in order to increase the yield and increase profit. And so we felt that it's important that we look at this. The market is already there. We have fertile lands. We have people who have a big market for this food. With things like AFTA, we have a bigger market where we can sell our foods to. And with the low currency that we have, we can actually export most of our products. So it's a big opportunity in agriculture. It's just the fact that there's lack of investment in that space, lack of investment in terms of infrastructure, machineries, which are the inputs which will increase yield for these farmers. And we think that it's important to right now, when it looks as if things are worse, this is the best time to invest when we know that, yes, as like you said, security challenges are there. One of the recommendations we made was, first, don't focus on the areas where we have security challenges, focus on areas that there are lesser challenges. But
the places we have security challenges are perhaps that's where we've seen the agricultural hub in different products. Ginger, we have, yes, and all of that, tomatoes, all of that, beans, and those are the critical areas where we produce some of those things, and that's where we have the
yeah, but we also have a lot of tubers in the east, in southwest, and in Benue we're seeing there's a lesser security challenges in Benue. So we're seeing that, yes, while there are still challenges in security-wise, we also feel that there's so many opportunities. Like I said, we are seeing more development in vegetables in the east. We're seeing a lot more garment. So one of the things we focused on was garment manufacturing, leather manufacturing, and we felt that, and more, not just growing products, processing. So it's not just about, okay, the farms, it's about agriculture, like you said, as a business. And we feel that it's important to look at the whole value chain, not just the farmers. And while there's some challenges in some of the areas, we call them the agricultural belt of Nigeria, we feel that there are also places we can focus on while the government do their work in terms of security. And so rather than waiting for everything to be okay, start with what you have. Let's just focus on what can we do right now, where are the areas where we can focus on, and then go from there.
Okay, we'll talk about the value chain in a bit, from production to processing to the marketing, distribution, and all of that. We'll come back to that in a bit. But I want you to explain, especially to our viewers, the economic power of diasporans, because, you know, we've said a lot of these things, and I think the government in its own wisdom has come out to form, I think, NITCOM, they call it,
yes.
Which Madam Abike Dabiri heads. They're talking about economic diplomacy now, not just about sending your ambassadors out.
No.
You've got to also sell what you are good in as a country. Do you think we really understand that economic power of our diasporans? And which kind of diasporans do we have? Because in your report also I saw those that are immigrating, perhaps as skilled labor. You see a lot of doctors are moving out. A lot of nurses are moving out. A lot of people that are skilled, they're tired of this country right now and they're moving out. Yeah. So how do we channel back that economic power of our diasporans?
So I agree with you that I think the government has realized the importance of diaspora with NITCOM. We had a conversation with NITCOM during this research, and there's a lot of activity going around encouraging the Nigerians diasporas to invest. So the NITCOM has what they call NDIS, which is Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit, which it holds every year. And about 600 people attend it, which is a lot of people, since it's just been 3 years, right? And there's a lot of Nigerian diaspora communities across the world. And NITCOM has been involved in those people, having engagement with those people. And a lot of these groups have been invested in Nigeria. So the thing is this, the point, like I said, is that these groups have said, we want to invest in Nigeria. There's a lot of, like you said, a lot of Nigerians going abroad with Canada Express Entry, Australian Express Entry. And these guys, after a while, they still want to come back home. They still want to have something back home, right? And they want to make sure that we have a credible platform. The process is transparent. Nobody's taking their money and building his house or going to politics. They don't want that. They want to make sure that it's properly done. Right, these people who are traveling, and I think it's actually good for us, you know, because the biggest capital we have as a country is our human beings. And if we're sending doctors abroad who are earning over $100,000 a year, who can bring out 10% of that, sending it back home for investment every year, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of people, and we have a huge population of Nigerians in diaspora, over 1 million of them, and 60% of them are skilled labor, right?
Which parts of diaspora are they? Because US, UK, Europe?
So America takes the majority of the people, followed by the UK. We have a lot of them in Europe. We have, like I said, like you know now, we have a lot of Nigerians in Canada now, moving to Australia. So we're expecting that in the next 4 or 5 years, there will be a huge population of Nigerians in Canada and Australia sending money back home, right? We have, so basically these are the 4 places where we have Nigerians: America, the UK, Europe, and Australia.
The Germanys, the Spains, and
exactly.
Okay, that's the graph there on the screen. Okay, if the diasporans now want to send their funds apart from consumption, and we're saying, okay, invest in businesses in Nigeria, especially businesses around agriculture, is there a model how they can channel some of those funds into Nigeria?
Yeah, so one of the things, so like I said, our research was commissioned by GIZ, and so one of the recommendations we gave to GIZ was you have to be involved. Nigerians would prefer to see that an international organization is involved. And from our research, we saw that this has been done in Somali. So Somali has what they call Somali Agri-Food Fund, where IFAD,
International Funding
for agricultural development. They provided technical assistance and funding for these businesses. What they did was that they packaged these farmers in groups, in individuals. You know, you were incorporated properly, and you were giving you showed your business plan, what you wanted to do with this money, what was the money for. Then they said, okay, we have this. You have this business. We have how much do you need? You need $100,000. Okay, how much are you willing to bring? Maybe 20% of it. We'll give you 40% as counterpart funding. Then the Diasporans will bring 40%, right? And that helped the Diasporans to know that, okay, if IFAD money is involved, it means that this is genuine, right? And so this kind of platform that allows, that creates confidence in the Nigerian diaspora is what we need to do, which is one of the things GIZ is trying to do right now, is to set up that platform where they bring technical skills, find funding from the German banks or wherever, counterpart funding, right? Then Nigerian diaspora will see that these people are serious. This is run by an international organization. It's not by some Nigerian government which they're not sure of, but that these organizations are very sincere and transparent, and they're very serious people. This brings a lot of confidence, and I think that is the major thing we heard. We lack confidence in the Nigerian system. That's what we need to see. We need to see that this thing is done properly and is legit and very legit, and then we would start investing. And
how do we aggregate the diasporans? Because if we're talking about bringing in money now, we're not saying, okay, Okafor brings, Nancy brings. There should be an aggregation of those funds. How do we get the diasporans, you know, together? Is this something that NITCOM will do? Is it how should it be done?
I think we've done it before. Nigeria raised $300 million from the diaspora. We raised the Nigerian diaspora bond 2 years ago, and it was very successful. We had over 130% subscription, which shows that there's an interest in the Nigerian diaspora. NITCOM is a very strong avenue for us to do that. Nigerian embassies across the world is a very strong avenue to do this. When we have, like I said, we have a lot of diaspora groups. It's just getting in touch with them. During our research, we got in touch with a lot of them, just in our small research. Talk less of when the government is doing it or where international organizations are doing it.
So what did they tell you when you were speaking with some of them?
So like I said, what they kept saying was, we want you to show us seriousness. We see confidence, we've lost money. What are you telling us that is different? You know, and when we say, okay, we have an international organization working with us, when I say international development organization, not like a business. These are non-profit organizations. And they say, okay, yeah, I know GIZ. We know they're very reputable. We deal with them here in Germany. We deal with them in Europe. And so if they're involved in this, then it shows that there's a lot of seriousness in this. So that's what they keep saying. We want to invest. We want to come back home. There's a lot of sentimental attachment, towards Nigeria, and they want to invest, but they just are not sure. It's something we talk about in Nextier, which is there's a difference between risk and uncertainty. And for us, the Nigerians...
There's a difference between risk and uncertainty, so they don't mean the same things.
They don't mean the same thing. For us, we feel risk is that I can drive my car out tomorrow and somebody hits me. It's risky, right? But uncertainty is that government has a policy today, wake up tomorrow, they change the policy. That's uncertainty. Nobody's certain what's going to happen tomorrow. But we're certain there will be risk in every business. The farmers there might be a drought, that happens. But uncertainty is that we don't know what the policies are, what the exchange rates will be. And these are fundamental things that we need to address to encourage more diaspora investment.
Okay, let's go back to the agricultural value chain, because we're seeing some kind of innovations around the agricultural value chain now. It's not about production itself. We're looking at encouraging the value chain, processing, distribution, marketing, and all of that. In what part of this value chain are you guys encouraging diasporans to come into?
So for the garment and the leather manufacturing, we are looking at that part of processing of the leather, the skin from the animals to pure leather. I grew up in Aba, for instance. I know that's a big market of leather market in Aba, where people converted these leathers to shoes. And so there's part of the project is that we focus on those particular areas where people are processing this product from raw materials to finished goods, right? While we're also focusing on the farmers in the field. So it's not just a particular value chain, it's all through from start to finish. Right? When you grow your tomato in the farm, how do you move it from point A to point B? That's a business already. How do you store it? That's a business already. How do you market it? That's a business already. So all throughout the value chains of each of these products, we are involved in it. The project is supposed to be involved in it from point A to the last person to the store. And so we think that all throughout this value chain, there's a business opportunity. It's not just about just growing the product and keeping it there. It's about getting it to the people who want it the most. If it is those who are abroad, fine. But the point is, how do you get it from the farmers to the people that want it?
I'm also seeing in this report that GIZ, that's German Development Agency, sponsored a program and all of that, and they were looking at them MSMEs in selected value chains.
Yes.
Apart from the leather and garments, which we've talked about, value chains in chili, pepper, tomato, ginger, leather, and all of that. Perhaps why these products? I really want to know, because some other products are also quite competitive with some other products like palm oil and all of that. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I think GIZ has. They just had, I don't know why, but they just picked these 5. They wanted it to be spread across Nigeria. So if you notice, the leather and the garment part was focused on the southeast. The tomato is around the north. And so they tried to balance their efforts across the country. And so they came up with this value chain. They've been working with them for the past 3-4 years. And so they thought, we've worked with these guys. We know what they're doing. And we know how far, what kind of returns they make. And so let us work with these people that we have. And the goal is to now move from point, if they succeed in this 5, they can now progress to other places. So it's like, let's test this. And if it works, then we'll move on to the next people. And
they did talk about an expanding livestock sector.
Yes.
Would that be a solution for this cattle header, yes, the header farmer crisis that we're seeing? What do you think, or what do you guys at Nextier think?
We think it's solvable. We think it's solvable. We have a lot of research on it. We think we can solve this problem. It requires political will at the end of the day. The solutions to this are very, very clear. It will take a while, but we know that there are solutions. And we've written a lot about ungoverned spaces, how this is result to the headers, farmers clashes. And we think that there are a lot of things that can be done, which we've written about. And if you've gone on our site, you see those articles I've written on it. And we are willing to share and talk about it at length on what needs to be done.
If we take a look at some I'll call them agro-tech businesses, or some businesses that have gotten crowdfunding and all of that, we also saw diaspora investment in some of those businesses. Should we encourage that more? Or how deeper should it be? Because we've also seen a lot of businesses come through that model. Some have succeeded. A lot more people are coming into it with the same model. Some are seemingly struggling and all of that. Are they those kind of models that are being encouraged? I don't want to call names, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I agree. So one of the things we're concerned about is the fact that most of these crowdsourcing platforms are raising short-term money for long-term projects. And we feel that's a challenge. And we think that it's something they need to work at, because agriculture is a long-term project. Like I said, somebody needs irrigation. It's a long-term project. You cannot take, you can't give a return of 35% for a 3-month investment. It's risky, right? And so we think that this crowdsourcing platform should be able to rejig their business. Be able to say, okay, look for long-term funds, not short-term funds, which is why diaspora is actually a better place. Because Nigerians here will want their returns in the next 3 months, 6 months, right? But the diasporans are more risk, they have a higher risk appetite investing in Nigeria than Nigerians here, because they know that, okay, I'm putting this money down for 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, it's just some money I can put down, right? But the Nigerians here find it a bit risky to put their money for that long term. So we think that the crowdsourcing platform should look at re-engineering their businesses around long-term projects. Then this will guarantee consistent returns. This will guarantee them more stability, right? And unlike what we've been hearing recently of some of the groups, and we think that that's what they should focus on. We understand they are in a very unique market, and so they try to adjust with it. But we think that going forward, with more brand recognition, they should look for long-term projects.
Did you guys think about the role of the banks in all of this? Because these monies also come in through international money transfer operators. Yeah. The Central Bank of Nigeria, for example, is encouraging more diasporan remittances into the country. They came up with this policy, I think, late last year, about you can get your dollar over the counter now. Yeah. Some diasporans, or many diasporans, are happy with that. What should be the role of the banks in all of this that we're talking about? Or they don't have a role? They actually do.
So one of the things that happened in the Somali Agri-Food Fund was, when they started the whole conversation, I first started it, they provided the initial fund, right? The project started, the diasporans brought their own counterpart funding, and the farmers brought, just the 3 of them. 2, 3 circles down the line, the banks came in. So what happens with IFAs reducing their own contribution, the banks get increasing their own. So it helps that this thing works. The bank says, look, this is actually profitable. Then we can bring it down. They are playing that role of providing funds, but it will require us to show that it works first, as was done in Somalia. And like you said, they are routes through which it comes through. So we know that like Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa has a high level of charges on remittances. So to figure out how do we reduce remittance costs so that we can stop spending a lot of money just to send money back home. That should be something. And I know that Central Bank is having a conversation around that with IMTOs and all that. And we think that there are very simple things we can do.
Okay. I would allow you land. Let's quickly take a break, and when we come back from the break, it will be the concluding part of the interview. Do stay. All right, welcome back to the program. Emeka Chinonso Okafor, Senior Research Analyst at Nextier Advisory, is still with me here, and we're looking at diaspora investment in agriculture, Nigeria diaspora, because diaspora is plenty. You have South Africa diaspora, Ghana diaspora, so it's Nigeria diaspora in agriculture. All right, just as we move towards the end of the program, is there a modality to get this, how do you get this done?
Yeah, so what we did was we looked at what has succeeded in the past, countries where have tried to do this, and we figured that, so we're using two models, we're replicating two models, one from Somali, one from Philippines, which is called the Attica Initiative. And for combining those, what we figured out was that we needed to develop like a toolkit, right? And the toolkit was that so we had 4 pillars of the toolkit, which one was for the agricultural businesses. How do you package them? This is supposed to be an investment opportunity, so you need to package them properly. Corporately, they need to look like real businesses, or they are business, so you need to gather them together. Some of the farmers are smaller units of smaller businesses, you need to gather them together. Some are big businesses, you need to incorporate them properly. So they will know that this is a corporate entity. On the other side of it is the investment vehicle. Well, how do you channel these funds to these businesses? So you must have an investment vehicle run by a fund manager that understands this is the dynamic, this is the interest rate, these are the competing interest rates, like bonds, government bonds, mutual funds. These are competing investment options. These Nigerian diasporans are also considering. And so you need to understand that. So you develop an investment vehicle around that. What are the returns? What will be the duration of the investment? And who are the people going to manage it? This is very important. The third thing is the partners. Like I explained before, that Nigerians in diaspora are worried about the investment. They need some level of confidence and assurance. And we feel that we need partners. And these partners should be international organizations, because it helps Nigerians abroad to know that this is serious. They are worried. They don't have a lot of confidence in the government, because a lot of them left the country because of the situation of the country. So we need international partners to be like the face of these investments. They see these guys have done due diligence. They're involved in it technically, financially, and then they are the ones who are supporting it. Then the last part of it is diasporans. like you said, there are a lot of diasporan community. Nigeria has a huge diaspora community. We need to organize them together. NITCOM is trying in that aspect. They're getting them together.
What's the role of NIPC, Nigeria Investment Promotion Council?
Beautiful. They have so NIPC is involved in this whole project. So they have some
council or commission. I don't know.
It's
but
yes.
But NIPC.
NIPC, yes. So yes. Nigeria Investment Promotion Council does commission. I think it's commission. Yeah. They have a couple of greenfield projects in farming, in agriculture, where they're promoting to, and they're working with GIZ on this project too. So we have we're having a workshop sometime this week, and NIPC will be there. They'll be contributing to the conversation. And so all these bodies should be brought together. The central bank with NASAO, they're all coming together to have this conversation on how do we make this thing seamless, so that the Diasporans will see that we are serious people and we are open for investment.
All right, I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Emeka, for joining me.
Thank you very much.
All right, I've been speaking with Emeka Chinonso Okafor, who is a senior research analyst at Nextier Advisory. We've been talking about the potentials of diaspora investment in agriculture and perhaps what should begin to happen from now in terms of diaspora funding. It shouldn't just be sending that $100, $1,000 for food. It's good that you feed mama, but it's also good that you invest in the country. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for joining us. Please join us again tomorrow. Be the best you can be the change that you want to see. I am Nnaji. Bye now. Thank you for watching our video. Please hit the subscribe button below, turn on post notification to follow all our updates.